This is the preview of the lecture video on the topic sonography of fetal renal parenchymal disease. The short snippets of the various topics covered in this lecture will follow. Having gone through the preview, if you wish to listen to the main lecture video, go to sonoshare.in. Decide on prenatal follow-up, how to follow up prenatally, and the need for genetic testing and what testing to be done, and prognosticate the particular type of patient. So assessing the amniotic fluid volume, looking for associated anomalies, smaller kidneys, nephrocalcinosis, and normal morphology. So the fetal renal parenchymal disease can present as one of these. Many cystic kidney diseases manifest initially as only echogenic kidneys without visible cysts. So as a result, echogenic kidneys and cystic kidneys are considered together. There can be polyhydramnias. So coming to the assessment of the fetal renal parenchyma by ultrasound, 20 weeks, the kidneys are scanned. The technique is described separately in a lecture, but to precisely tell, the kidneys are scanned with the spine at the 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock position in the axial, and longitudinal they are seen as oval echo-power structures. Liver capsule, that is the visceral peritoneum, that is the liver capsule. Then we see the renal parenchyma, which is seen, which is fat. So because there is interface between each of these, the central echogenic area appears echogenic. But the most important structure is the pelvic-calyceal system. This is important, and so because normally you don't see the collecting system, but when the collecting system dilates in hydronephrosis, you see the dilated calyces communicating with the renal pelvis, continuing as the ureter. A good trimester, we can also use the high frequency scan to get better detail. Even in the anomaly scan, if necessary, we can do echogenic. But when you use the high frequency, you see that the enhanced corticomedullary differentiation, and you are able to pick up macroscopes how much detail you get, better detail you get with the EVS. So here you know that it is a typical appearance, and look for the urinary bladder and assess the amniotic fluid volume. Look for associated anomalies of the parenchyma. It is assessed subjectively by comparing with the liver or reversed. That is, the medullary pyramids are echogenic compared to the echo-power cortex. Here it is enhanced. Of this is whether it is cortex, medulla, or both, and number of cysts. So there is a relation between amniotic fluid volume and fetal renal parenchymal disease. The renal parenchymal disease can affect the renal function and thereby, or unilateral multicystic disease with unilateral renal agenesis, or it can be autosomal recessive polycystic kidney disease. It can be non-renal disease, so that means it will be if it is present, it may be a recurrence of the disease, and then you have to do the scan ultrasound for the parents and grandparents of the primary or non-motile cilia in the cells which line the ducts of the kidney and liver. As a result, faulty development results in so this cilia are in system ciliopathies, where we get Joubert syndrome and related disorders, which is a big spectrum, or it can present as skeletal ciliopathies of C because of the beak sign. So that is the beak sign on either side. So what is the beak sign? So when there is an organ and this is adult kidney, and you see a mass here, and you see the extension of the compressed normal renal parenchyma as a beak extending over the mass. Or it can be segmental multicystic dysplastic kidney, where it is starting as a single cyst, or it can be an extra renal cyst. In the coronal scan also, the appearance remains the same, of multiple cysts of varying size. You can see varying size, whereas in hydronephrosis, symmetric cyst is a cyst. It is not hydronephrosis. Whereas in this example, this is a coronal scan of a similar sagittal picture. What do you see? You see that what appeared like a cyst is continuous as the dilation, or it can appear later. So when there are two cysts, then it is no more a solitary cyst. When there is more than one cyst, then the differential diagnosis, say that is the longitudinal scan, again shows multiple cysts of varying size. You see the varying size, so small, so large, and non-varying size, symmetric size, similar size, and they are communicating with the larger central renal pelvis. So this is in here. This is the axial scan. You see the spine, you see the aorta and IVC. Right kidney is normal. The left side, the kidney is replaced by multiple cysts. And the kidney may be of varying size. It can enlarge because of obstruction. And the most crucial differentiating point is the dilated collecting. One of the theories of evolution of multicystic dysplasia is early obstruction. So same fetus, so this is typical of multicystic dysplastic kidney, and due to obstruction, early obstruction or enlarged. Parenchyma has the typical appearance, and cyst appearance also has got a pattern. And with all these three parameters, because of the varying combination and nephronophthisis. Now this is a fetus with anhydramnios, and axial scan shows bilateral multicystic kidneys, typical appearance in coronal scan, endovaginal scan, because its fetus is in breech presentation, and you see bilateral multicystic kidneys. So this is the importance of extending your scan either with high frequency or endovaginal scans. So this is typical appearance of a cloaca. So this bilateral multicystic kidney with cloaca, then the diagnosis is URSM. This type of polycystic kidney disease, its incidence is 1 in 20,000 live births. There is no sex predilection. There is extreme variance, and with high frequency, you get the tiny tubular cysts in the medulla with thin cortex. So where the corticomedullary differentiation is enhanced in the high frequency scan. So urinary bladder is non-here. The kidneys are enlarged and echogenic, but the pyramids are enlarged and echogenic with the thin ichopore cortex. So there is reversal of the corticomedullary differentiation. This is here you can see the enhanced corticomedullary differentiation, the echogenic cortex and echopore medulla. With high frequency scan, you can pick up small maxis, hyperechoic kidneys, normal sized or small. This is one ciliopathy where the kidneys are smaller in size without corticomedullary difference, plus 2 standard deviation, echogenic, diffusely hyperechoic, no corticomedullary differentiation, but seen in certain syndromes like Meckel-Gruber syndrome, Bardet-Biedl syndrome, renal hepatic pancreas, and in the feet. So these are the features, and if you see the brain, you will see an encephalocele. So that is the head, and you see in the diagnosis. Then we come to the other polymorphomatous syndrome, the Joubert syndrome and Rigna. So absence of the vermis is better seen in the video. You can see when you see that is the portal vein, and anterior to the portal vein you see the dilated bile ducts. That is the portal vein marked in the color, and anterior to that there is no color in the dilated ducts. So dilated ducts indicating hepatic dysplasia. And then coming to the pancreas. Now this is the axial scan, this is the spine, cloaca. And if you see the anus, you fail to see the anus. The anus is not seen, and you see the median for conditions like Joubert syndrome. And postnatal follow-up, ultrasound is done in the first week. Further evaluation as necessary depending upon the outcome. If the bilateral cystic kidney or echogenic kidneys, if presents with oligoamnias, again complete organ scanning for involvement of other action, nephrotic syndrome of Finnish type, medullary nephrocalcinosis, some trisomies, mainly trisomy 21, bilateral echogenic kidneys, but the collecting system is dilated, urinary bladder is overdistended, the corticomedullary differentiation is present, and urinary bladder is normal, amniotic fluid is contained bunches of tiny calcifications. So this is medullary nephropathy. The kidney is small and echogenic with poor function. Normal outcome of a echogenic kidneys. So when here there is a rare condition of renal tubular dysgenesis where there is anhydramnios. So when there is anhydramnia, weeks, normal fetus and normal placenta, normal kidneys, normal urinary bladder, and there may be growth restriction. Of course, there will be definite family history. That will be the clue. Amniotic fluid can be, amniocentesis can be read, and it will show raised chloride level, which is diagnostic, and genetic diagnosis also can be done to diagnose pyramids containing cysts. Whereas in the convex probe, it looks that the CMD is lost. Okay, enlarged in echogeny, whereas the cortex is echopoor still. So this this is appearance in convex 3.5 MHz probe in both axial and longitudinal scans. So the CMD looks reversed, but when you use a high frequency, again you see the typical appearance of autosomal recessive polycystic kidney with enlarged. That is about the CMD, the varying appearances, and with high frequency how it changes. For IUD or termination, autopsy and renal histology, postnatal evaluation, and genetic diagnosis. Prenatal diagnosis is very important. Now, prognosis in such conditions depends on excellent prognosis because it is unilateral, the other kidney is normal. Coming to bilateral cysts and bilateral echogenic kidneys without oligoamnias may be varied prognosis. In syndrome, the prognosis will depend on the syndromic condition. Typical example is Bardet-Biedl. Within the family itself, the penetrance is very varying. So, what is classical of peritoneal renal parenchymal disease is very high variability in diseases. Heterogeneity within the family, in the penetrance there is high variability like Bardet-Biedl. Overlap with congenital anomalies of the urinary tract like obstructive lesions. So index case diagnosis and a specific appropriate genetic test can be done. Now genetic test of the complications, but at the same time it increases the anxiety of the patient and the couple, and the recurrence risk can be assessed and can be counseled to the parents. So which will also influence the parents' decision regarding termination if it is not offered. And the place of delivery, if there is anticipated pulmonary problems because of the always DNA storage is useful. So to conclude, fetal renal parenchymal disease, typical features to get at a specific diagnosis, or atypical when we can consider only differential diagnosis. There is high genetic variability. So with all this, heterogeneity is the findings leading to a specific diagnosis and confirmed by a specific gene test. Or it can be atypical ultrasound finding, which will need complementary tests as well as cysts or echogenic kidneys. Thank you.